But yeah, it was every night after everyone left at 5, I would stay there, and it would be all night long. And sometimes 2 o'clock in the morning. That was every single weekend. I slept on the floor. I don't know how many times. Just trying to. You get to a point where you don't really have a choice. You have a loan payment coming, and there's no, oh, sorry, I can't make my loan payment. That's not really an option.
This episode of Manufacturing Muscle is sponsored by Ultratech Tool and Design, a family-owned stamping company since 1989. With pressing capabilities reaching up to 1,000 tons and having the ability to handle material from 1/100th to 3/8 of an inch, Ultratech Tool and Design can handle a variety of projects and applications. They are IATF 16949 certified and have an expert staff that strives to ensure a seamless customer experience. Ultratech Tool and Design emphasizes customer communication, quality stamping work, and also helping other companies with their stamping capacity. You can contact Ultratech Tool and Design today by reaching them at www.ultratechstamping.com. Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Manufacturing Muscle podcast. I have been waiting all week to do this episode with the president of Full Throttle Machine, Lauren Tips. She is a self-made machine shop owner, an absolute beast in the industry, and you guys need to know more about her. So Lauren, I am going to turn it over to you. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and Full Throttle Machine?
Sure. My name's Lauren Tips. I'm the president of Full Throttle Machine Works. We're located in Corpus Christi, Texas. Been in business since early part of 2018, so just over 5 years now. We do a lot of remanufacture right now, so mostly components for the oil and gas field. There's also some power generation, a little bit of aerospace, a couple of job shop things here and there. Yeah.
What kinds of machines do you guys have on the floor?
We kind of have a range of machines. So we have some really large horizontal boring mills, spindles with 5 inches, 4 inches, 20,000 pound table capacities. And then we have some smaller lathes with live tooling, some manual machines, some Haas machines, some automated welding machines, kind of an assortment.
All right, and I remember the first time that we talked, I was talking about like parts and stuff, and you're like, oh no, we do parts way bigger than that. Cobot couldn't handle our part. This couldn't. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh my gosh. And then I saw a picture of you on Instagram inside of that huge mill, and I was like, whoa, okay, I was way off when you were talking about big parts.
Yeah, our thing is we struggle with the small parts. Someone came in for just a little half-inch piece of brass, and I'm like, we can do that, but this is really small. And they're like, oh, okay. But yeah, the 2,500 pounds is the average weight of a part that we do.
That is incredible. And
Yes.
how many employees do you guys have?
We have 8 employees now, looking to hire on hopefully 2 more. So
All right, and we'll get into that, the workforce a little bit later. But anyone listening and you're around Texas, keep that in mind. Well, Lauren, I really want you to tell your story about how you got into manufacturing and how you started Full Throttle Machine Works, because it is truly inspiring, and you are someone that should be supported by the manufacturing industry, uplifted by everybody in the industry, and just kind of put on high, because you really had a lot of perseverance, a lot of just self-made work to get where you're at. So I'm just going to turn the mic over to you, and I'm going to let you start with that marshmallow story that you told me about before.
yes, thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, I've always had an entrepreneurial spirit. I've always known that I wanted to have my own business. I did not know that it was going to be in manufacturing. I didn't even know manufacturing was an industry. I kind of assumed, but you think assembly line, cars being put together, like I just didn't really think of all of the things, like everything is manufactured. But my first experience with being an entrepreneur, I was 12 or 14, and I had my dad take me to the hardware store, and we got 20-foot pieces of PVC pipe, like 10 of them. And he's like, "This is a lot of PVC. Are you sure?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm sure." He's like, "What are you doing?" I was like, "I'm going to show you." So I had this whole plan, cut up all these pieces and made marshmallow guns, and ended up making 80% profit. They drove me to all these different events, and I sold these marshmallow guns. And as, 12, 14-year-old, having thousands of dollars worth of cash, I was like, "Hey, this is going to be my life. I'm going to keep doing this in one way or another. Probably not marshmallow guns, but this is my first taste." And I've since then, I just kind of knew that direction was where I was going to head.
I do think we need a breakdown and a CAD drawing of the marketing ones, because I really think that could have been a business you could have carried out for a long time.
Right. It wasn't exactly on CAD, but it's probably construction paper with a pencil, and it was very rough, but I still have that somewhere, so.
Oh my
My
gosh,
mom saved it, yeah.
that is funny. I love that. So you've had the entrepreneurship built into you. You knew it from a young age.
Yes.
So after the marshmallow guns, and you knew, man, this is going to be my life, making money and taking control of your own destiny. Kind of take us
Yeah.
from there.
So I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I ended up graduating high school, and you're looking online at different colleges, and you're like, these are my degree options, and you just feel like you have to pick one. And I picked one, and I didn't like it, and I picked another, and I didn't like that either. So I finally ended up finishing my business management degree, so I do have that. And I was like, okay, now what? Like, really lost. I felt a lot of pressure to do something. But then I said what I would never do is go work for my parents, and I did that, and ended up, they were starting a purchasing department at the time. They're opening up multiple locations, and so the need to keep everything kind of reined in a little bit, work on budgets and stuff was important for them. And one of the things I came across was machine shops, and we did quality audits. I noticed their turnaround time was insane. You'd be looking at 12 to 16 weeks. The price was crazy because not very many people were doing what they needed done. And the quality wasn't that great either. We had a 50% reject rate. And I was like, wow, so here is a problem. I didn't know right off the bat that I just wanted to dive in and start a machine shop. Still didn't really occur to me. But slowly over time it made sense, and I knew that I appreciated the opportunities working for my parents, but that wasn't the goal. Like, the bar working for your parents for you is right here, and everyone else is a little bit lower. It was difficult. A lot of character building is how I can put that. So I wrote a 40-something page business plan, presented it to my parents, and they said, we'll co-sign if you can sell this to the bank. And I was like, no big deal, right? The conference table was probably the biggest conference table I've ever sat at. Like, the president, vice president, branch manager, all these people were surrounding us, and it was like, okay, I've never presented a business plan to a bank. Like, how
old were you at this point?
I was probably 27, 28.
Wow, okay.
Still scared, but it went well, and they were like, wow, this is one of the best business plans we've seen. And I was like, are they just saying that, or like, was it really?
All right.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, cool. They had a lot of questions, and I was over prepared, and I was able to answer all their questions, and they gave us the loan. And so my mom and I are halvesies. She owns the other 50% of the company, and so she doesn't get involved day to day with everything. She has a lot more going on. She has her own businesses and stuff. So, but yeah, that's how we got started. It was not the plan, but here we are, 5 years later with a machine shop. It's crazy.
Well, I think we got to know a little bit more about this business plan. I think it's incredible that you were that young and you could sit there and think about all the things that you need to convince a bank to give you the money. And not only that, but to say, hey, mom and dad, here's this plan that I have, and this is what I want to do. And knowing that in detail and being able to write down all of that, why don't you just take us through kind of that moment, things that you were thinking about, things that you put in the business plan, Were there things that you put in there that you realized you didn't end up needing, or things that you didn't have in there that you're like, now you're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I didn't have that in there? Like, where did that experience come from to be able to write that out, and things that you were thinking of?
A lot of it I did learn when I ended up getting a degree, so that it was part of one of our projects in school was to create a business plan. So I kind of had an idea of what needed to be in there. This one ended up being really long because I would rather have extra details instead of miss something. So the bank was probably like, okay, enough with the sales graphs, you know. But I met with customers and I tried to talk to some people to see who would utilize this, and I knew my dad, his company would be one of them, and so that helped a lot. The bank was like, okay, so I don't want to say it's guaranteed because I couldn't promise my dad that the product was going to come out great, but at least we had a shot there, and so the bank felt really good about that.
And how did you prospect those customers? I mean, you're
Cold
27.
calling.
You just
Yeah.
cold called. What
I
did you
cold
Google?
called.
Like,
Yeah, I was just Googling people that had a similar product, and yeah, it was terrifying because I never cold called people. And, you know, it's just, I felt like a telemarketer, and a lot of people were like, no, we're good, thanks. I'm like, okay, well, you know, keep my number, and no one ever called back. But a lot of times I did go in with, created some marketing material, you know, and went in person and talked to them, and people, you know, some people were like, okay, yeah, you know, we'll keep your number and stuff, and some people wanted quotes, and yeah, I mean, it was 50-50, I would say.
that's awesome, though. I mean, having the confidence to do that with, little to no
It
knowledge
was
of how to make
you
the product.
totally faking it. I rehearsed in the mirror and was like, okay, Lauren, you can do this. Like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, I think that's really going to be the overall message throughout this whole podcast. Like, if you set
yeah,
your mind to something, you can do it, no matter
yeah,
how uncomfortable the boundaries that you have to push. And we're going to get more and more and more into that. And so,
yeah,
when we had talked previously, when you opened the shop,
yeah.
so let's go from there now. Now we fast forward, we get the loan, you get into the shop, and
Yes.
you have, to my knowledge, you did not have any manufacturing, machining experience, nothing.
Zero. And you go in with the confidence thinking, okay, how hard could it be? I didn't have the engineering background. I didn't know the difference between a mill and a lathe. I could not operate a forklift. I didn't, like, nothing. I didn't even know any dimensions or tolerances of the part that we knew we were going to work on needed to be. So it was, like, so lost. I walked in and, you know, out the back door, and you see a couple of machines lined up, and I didn't even know how to turn them on. It was terrifying. It was so exciting and so terrifying at the same time, and it was like, what do we just do? Like, what? Who goes
Just
into business and has no idea how to do it?
Now, when you got the building,
Yeah.
got the space, did you know that you wanted to be into gas and like those types of industries, or and specialize in the massive parts, or did that just come by nature?
There was a comfort for me because I was familiar with the parts. Because I'd worked for my dad, I'd purchased them for so long. I'd helped rig up equipment on location several times. I've been to Midland, been to East Texas, been to the Eagle Ford Shale around here. So the part, I was like, okay, I know what the part is, so I felt comfortable with that. But as far as, I mean, knowing now, there could have been options for something that wasn't so large, but I guess that was what made it more of a niche because not everyone wants to deal with that. So I was like, okay, this is our spot. So
This is your spot. And how
yeah.
did you get to that spot? I mean, you told me you had lots of endless nights, no sleep. You're the only one in the shop teaching this and teaching that, learning from here,
It
learning
was
from there.
difficult. Yeah, it was really difficult because I kind of thought, okay, well, I don't have the experience, so I'll go ahead and hire people that do. And you have people coming in, and I had a lot of people making decisions and no one really following them, which it never works that way. You have to have some sort of structure. So I definitely was weak in that area, but as I learned more, I was able to show employees exactly what I wanted, and if they were like, hey, I don't know if this is going to work, I had the ability to say, look, step aside, I'll show you exactly what I want, exactly how I want it done, and then you can take it from here. And so people started getting respect for me and stuff, but it took a long time.
How did you even learn those things? I mean, people just talk in general about going from general day-to-day life to shop talk and understanding, like you said before, what's a mill, what's a lathe,
Yeah.
what's a fifth axis, what's a boring tool. I mean, like people don't even know those terms, let alone trying to utilize those terms to actually
And
make a
there's
part.
Yeah, there's only so much you can learn online, okay? And half the stuff that you do here steers you in the wrong direction. But I did have a mentor, and he basically told me, he said, look, I can see that you need some help. And he said, as much as you want to learn, I will teach you as long as you want to learn it and you want to put in the time. He said, you're going to have to put in the time and it's going to be hard, but as long as I know that, he didn't want me to waste his time. And so I said, no, I promise. And so taught me how to, and I did all of this after 5, so I wasn't out on the shop floor where employees were watching like, wow, boss really has no idea what's going on.
Right,
So
she's got no clue, you know?
yeah, I tried to, it's a lot of faking it till you make it, because I had to convince myself that I could do it, and then everything kind of fell into place after that. But yeah, it was every night after everyone left at 5, I would stay there, and it would be all night long, and sometimes 2 o'clock in the morning. That was every single weekend. I slept on the floor, I don't know how many times, just trying to, you get to a point where you don't really have a choice. You have a loan payment coming, and there's no, oh, sorry, I can't make my loan payment. That's not really an option.
Right.
So
I
I was
think,
like,
yeah. I think it's goes to show not only did you have the confidence in yourself to learn these things and be able to run everything in the shop and be able to show people, but that also shows leadership. And like right now, I'm actually getting my MBA, and one of the classes that I'm in is leadership management. And one of the things that they talk about is maybe you don't know everything at a certain point, but you know how to lead people to want to work for you and be successful. And that's one thing that I want to talk about when we kind of get into shop mentality here in a little bit. But you, I mean, I haven't even worked with you in your shop, and just by the things that you're talking about and the way that you were able to run the business all day long and learn all night and do that until you felt confident and secure and like your own abilities to run the shop is to me just an incredible form of leadership. And I'm sure the people that work for you just respect the heck out of that.
they really do. I'm really grateful. We've got a phenomenal team and I didn't know what my leadership style was. I hadn't managed too many people under me before. And so you read, like, what's your leadership style? From the front, from the back, from the side. I'm like, my leadership style is as like a circle. It depends on the employees. Some people you need to push. Some people you can work right next to them and you have to show them, hey, this, like what I just mentioned. Other people, I'm extremely adaptive, and I think that helps a lot because I treat everybody fairly, but I treat everybody differently. I can't treat everybody the same because totally different personalities outside, and so it just wouldn't be effective.
I think I need to have you on as a speaker for my MBA course because I'm not even joking. We just
I'm
talked
down.
about it. Yeah, we talked about, I just had to do a presentation on what's your leadership style, and then that was with the course material. They talked about you can have like, you could be you, right? You're Lauren, I'm Shay, but Lauren, operates this way, but the only way to like be a successful leader, what they were talking about was like, yes, you can lead in a certain manner, but each individual person needs something different because they're not all the same in order
Right.
to motivate them to want to work for you and do great things for the company. And I
Yeah.
think that is awesome that you like saw that and you learned that, and that's what you do. Another thing too is like I feel like women are able to bring that perspective very well because
Yeah.
we're really heightened in terms of like emotion and being able to read people and things like that. And so I think that probably, I mean, and you can tell me
Oh,
how
that
your
intuition.
ability to
Yeah.
like, oh, that person's having a bad day. Oh, I noticed that person kind of has different facial expressions today. Maybe they need a little help. Maybe they need this. Maybe they need that.
Exactly. I've had an employee that, seemed everything was going great, and then one week just wasn't the same. And it was like, hey, what's going on? Oh, I just started school. I'm taking night classes. And it was like, okay, well, how about we adjust the schedule to accommodate just your department, and you could come in, we'll change it. And so we accommodated, and this person was like, whole new person the next week, and they're like, oh my goodness, like I'm sleeping more now, and just things like that. And I know it's easier for a smaller business to make those accommodations, but it goes a long way.
That's awesome. But that comes down to employee retention too. I mean, think
Yeah.
about, you just made that person's life so much easier. They're going
Yeah.
to obviously continue to want to work for you versus somebody
Sure.
that's doesn't want to make that flexibility, because life still happens outside of work. Obviously, people still going to school, people have kids and things like that. So being an understanding leader that wants to help people reach their goals and not be trying to make their life difficult for them to reach their goals is really awesome.
Yeah.
And I think that kind of segues right into this shop mentality at Full Throttle. And I know you said you have 8 employees now, so then you would be your 9 there in the building total. What is kind of the mentality that you guys have, and what do you think contributes to a strong mentality from just a business perspective and from a shop floor management perspective?
So one of the things that my dad always taught me, I don't even think he intended to teach me this, but he said, Lauren, if you're not having fun, quit doing it. And I was like, that sounds like a nice concept, but really, I use that at work often. I've told every single employee here, I said, look, this is work. At the end of the day, sometimes it's gonna suck, sometimes it's gonna be great, but it doesn't have to. So we really, it's really laid back. I mean, there are certain rules that we have to follow, so we create some boundaries, but at the same time, I mean, I don't care what kind of music someone's playing. If they've got some type of whatever that makes it easier for them, I'm all about that. So we're pretty flexible. We do a lot of different lunches. We celebrate birthdays. Birthdays are huge around here. Got the whole cookie, cake, ice cream, cake, like whether they want to celebrate birthdays or not.
No way!
Yeah, so
That's
just
a great idea.
yeah.
It's almost
Yeah,
just like doing the little things.
yeah, it really is the little things, and I write people anniversary cards when they've been here for a year or 2 years, 3 years, and just the little bitty things. It's like some people it might not really care if they got a card in the mail, but someone else, if that touches one person out of 8 or 7, however many, great. So
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Yeah. If you're not having fun, that's a huge takeaway. I
yeah,
worked in I worked at a law firm for a while because I thought I wanted to be an attorney. And man, well, the first law firm I worked at, I was not bored. I had a great time, but I knew I didn't want to be in criminal law. So
yeah,
then I thought, oh, maybe I want to be in business law, and I worked for that company. Great bosses. Oh my gosh, the people were amazing, but I was like, man, this work, whew, it is. I was not having fun, and that's kind of another reason why I kind of got into manufacturing. So you having that focus and like trying to bring the fun to the floor, and
yeah.
obviously people, you know, work obviously takes a lot away from people's lives. I mean, we spend most of our time at work.
We
And so
do.
you providing that experience for people, like celebrating their birthdays and like making it feel like people and anniversaries and things like that. I'm sure you do
Yeah.
much more. Like a lot of companies don't do that. A lot of companies don't recognize that, but that is like a caring way to show people that you care about them and that you're creating this foundation for everybody, that we care about each other, we're going to support each other, and we're kind of all in this together. That's kind of the takeaways that I'm
Yeah,
hearing here.
exactly. We're not different departments. We're all full throttle. So I think, it's easy to kind of segregate depending on, oh, those are the welders, oh, those are the machinists, or, whatever. But yeah, it's not that way here. I make it an extra point to not put up those walls because I think that's when you start having some problems. But
Yeah, that's
yeah.
awesome. And just, out of curiosity, what, a lot of businesses and shops talk about growth and success and where they want to go. And you obviously have a great foundation when it comes to your employees and what you do and motivating them to want to work for you and each other. But what do you guys consider like a win? What's a success for you guys? What is your goal for Full Throttle Machine Works?
I feel like at this point, being able to pay off several of the loans has been a huge success for me. Of course,
Oh
like
yeah,
that's been a
that
relief.
deserves a
Yay!
round of applause.
That's been such a relief, and I feel like a weight off my shoulders, and I'm sure my mom's too. And
Yeah,
so,
your mom's. Thank
yeah,
God.
she's probably like, thank God. I don't. We always joke. I'm like, Mom, what was your worst business decision? She's like, probably getting into business with you. It's
Oh
like a
my
joke.
God, you're like, come
It's
on,
a
mom,
joke.
you
She
don't
doesn't
mean
really
that.
mean
You don't mean
that. I'm like, hey. And so we'll have like a really good month. I'm like, was it still a mistake? And she's like, not this month, but we'll see how you do next month. So
Oh my gosh. So you've been able to pay off a lot of the machines, and that's kind of been a
yes,
big
yes,
success
it's
for you.
been so hard, but I looking at the long-term goals, and I mean, I would like to just keep adding on HBMs all the way to the end of the yard. We have a lot of yard space behind our building. I'm like, we're just gonna keep going, and it's always the joke because I'm not really joking, and everyone else thinks I'm joking. I'm like, hey, I'm thinking I'm probably gonna put a machine here. And then a couple of days later, a machine shows up, and everyone just laughs. They're like,
Everyone's like,
I
"Gosh,
should have known.
we
Yeah,
should have
so
known."
yeah, knew it was happening. But yeah, I think growth and I think success to me also is being able to retain people in an industry that's really high turnover. It says a lot that people will stay here because they're telling me that they believe in me and they trust me with their future and their family.
Gosh, I
Um,
just got the chills.
yeah, it's just it's kind of I go to sleep at night thinking about all that. It's a big I don't want to say it's a weight.
A
It's not a
motivator
negative thing.
in
Yeah,
a way.
but it makes me try that much more harder because I'm not looking at just my family. There's 8 other families out there, and they tell me about their kids, and I don't want to let them down either. So
Right. And
yeah,
speaking of kids, don't you have a little boy that comes to the
I
shop?
do. I have a 6-year-old boy, Jaden. Yes, yes, he loves the shop. The Sheen shop is what he calls this.
The Sheen shop. I love that.
Yes.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
Get him acclimated, get him in the culture, get him
Oh yeah.
handing out cupcakes. He's gonna be ready to go and when
Oh,
you're
he's
ready.
all over it. He has his little hard hat, which I don't know what he needs that for because in large parts that's not really gonna help. But he went and picked out his own tool bag. He's got his own set of wrenches and calipers, and he's got it figured out. Well, he thinks he has it figured out. So I might be working for him before long. I don't know.
Oh my gosh, that is cute. I love that. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Getting them in the industry young. I actually,
Yes.
my dad had sent me a picture. He was at EMO, that trade show in Hanover, and
Yeah. Yeah.
this episode will go out probably maybe I would have to say a couple months ago when Hanover happened. Um, and he sent me a picture of some like these little kids inside of looking at a machine, and he texted me and he's like, man, it's really nice to see kids not in their iPhones and inside of machines. And I was like, wow, like
Yeah.
when you say that, you think about your iPhone, you think about the buttons that you have to press, you have to text, you have to type in passwords, you have to, I mean, it's not coding or like anything like that, or drawing any programs or anything like that, but it is learning how to be functional with
Yeah.
technology, and that has to relay in some way where like if
I
really
totally agree.
if
Yeah,
more
thousand
kids
percent.
knew, yeah, like if more kids knew that your iPhone is kind of just like blown up on a machine control, and instead of
Definitely.
texting, you type out a program and you can make something,
Yeah, you
I
could
think,
tell the machine exactly what to do and actually have a tangible part. Like, how cool.
yeah,
Uh, yeah, I mean, you're totally
it's
right.
it's crazy. So that's really awesome that you bring them in. The Sheen shop, I love that. That's
Machine
awesome.
shop, yes.
Sheen shop. But
Yes.
you talked a lot about things that you guys do for your employees, and I know that we had talked previously about the struggles with getting people into manufacturing. So,
Yes.
what are some things that you do in terms of hiring? What are you experiencing trying to hire people? Let's get into that. I'd like to hear your perspective there.
Yeah, I think hiring is the biggest challenge that we're facing right now. I've tried any types of job boards posting on, like what's one of them? Like Indeed, I guess, would be one example. I've tried a little bit on LinkedIn. But it's funny, like word of mouth seems to be the most effective. People just show up at the door like, hey, so-and-so told me to stop by. I'm like, I don't even know who that is. So I guess there's like just this little network, and once you start reaching one person, then people seem to all, I guess they all talk to each other, and it seems like here in Corpus anyways.
Yeah, well, and I think because you treat your employees, so well that they probably go back and say, "Oh yeah, Full Throttle, Lauren does X, Y, and Z. It's a great place to work. We're growing. We're this and we're that." That person tells that person. That person tells that person. So it really just goes to show like how much your work putting together this culture at your shop kind of helps feed into other things.
For
Um,
sure.
when it comes, if you said you haven't had a lot of success with like the LinkedIn and the Indeed and things like that, when you do interview people, are you facing any challenges with people just not showing up or not having any interest to learn or to grow, not passing drug tests? I know that's been one that I've heard a lot from
Oh, the
people.
drug tests and the background checks, that's probably knocks out a good 50 or 60%. They say they can, and then they come in, they're like, well, I can take this test like next Monday. I'm like, no. Like,
You're like,
I
nah.
need you to take, yeah, I see what you're doing here. Like, so that's kind of challenging. It's a little frustrating because I can't jeopardize other people's safety, especially running a machine, if someone weren't able to pass those two things. So that eliminates a lot. I'm not really concerned with someone having experience or not. I can hire someone just based off of if they have the right mentality. I can definitely tell very quickly whether it's going to work out or not. And you could tell, I've had people have no idea what a machine is and been able to train them, and they've been some of the best employees. So, not necessarily looking for people with experience. But yeah, a lot of people just don't really seem to want to work right now. Seems like COVID hurt us a lot.
I think it's interesting. You have a unique perspective on this as well because you literally came from knowing nothing, right? So like
Yes.
you came in this industry knowing nothing, and so
Yeah.
you are more than willing to give somebody who also knows nothing a shot. But like, whereas if your mentor kind of came to you and said, "Look, I'm going to help you, but you got to show me that I should help you," it's almost like the same thing. And because you went through that, and like I feel this sometimes in a different capacity, like coaching, gymnastics, and cheerleading, and things like that.
Yeah.
You know, I've done it, so I know it's possible. If you can see it, it's possible. And so, you know, if someone comes to you and says, "I want a job, I have no experience," and then shows no interest, for you, you're like, well, man, I know what I did. I know I stayed after hours. I know I, put in the hard work, blood, sweat, and tears to get where I'm at today. And I'm not asking you to give me all that. I'm just asking you to give me something that makes me feel like you want to be here and help our company grow.
Exactly. Yeah, if I know someone's going to show up on time every day, or, show up would be the first thing, and then on time, and just really the willingness to learn something. We're really big on saying, I don't know. There are times that I tell everyone, I said, I'm not always going to have the answers. I know where to get them, and I can get them quickly, but I tell them I don't know sometimes. You just run into some stuff that, you just don't have an immediate answer to. And I really pound it onto people. I'm like, if you don't know, tell me you don't know. But it's difficult finding someone that can say that.
Like
They
set their
just
privacy.
want to come up with an answer, and it's guessing, and it usually it's not beneficial. So I respect people that say, I don't really know, but I'm willing to learn, and that's what I can work with.